Do you like the Oakland A's? Are you a fan of the Golden Knights? Do you love the Los Angeles Chargers? Well then, my friend, you're in the right place. This is the Snake Sports Talk Show with your host, Jake the Snake Silva, brought to you by the Spotlight Sports Network.
The latest on Julio Jones. So I know a lot of people have been keeping up to date with where exactly is the movement going to. Is this something that is going to happen with the Atlanta Falcons? I know people are kind of questioning as to why the Atlanta Falcons are right now in this position where they're wanting to trade away Julio Jones, one of their best top wide receivers. But I know a lot of people understand that. They understand the reasoning behind it, but sometimes it's always a timing thing. Now, we are in the last day of May before we move into June tomorrow. And there's so much that I could break down about Julio Jones. I mean, what's not to love about him? The fact that he's one of the top best receivers in the NFL when he's healthy. We know that there were times that he was sidelined a couple seasons due to a bunch of injuries. But at the same time, he's already got his Super Bowl appearance. He's already won an NFC Championship game. And there's not a lot to really not love about Julio Jones. And the fact that his length, size, and the way he creates separation on the field is what's very valuable. But the only thing that a lot of teams now are really kind of searching for, because the Atlanta Falcons won a late first-round pick. If that's the case, deal would be done. But if it was a strict first-rounder, whether it was the mid or the high, you're not going to get a good asking price for it. Because a lot of teams that would be looking for at least extra depth at wide receiver or other places, you're not going to end up getting that kind of guaranteed deal. So either a late first-rounder, maybe a second-round pick, and maybe a couple more other picks, and maybe one player to add into the depth chart is maybe the best possible guarantee that you're going to get with the Atlanta Falcons. But this is interesting to me, though, because the fact of the matter is the Falcons walked in knowing that they got their top pick in Kyle Pitts at tight end. And so they have a tight end depth chart with him and Hayden Hurst. Then, of course, you have a couple of good wide receivers with amongst what's going to be happening with Julio Jones, but you have Calvin Ridley, you have Russell Gage, you have a couple of others that you could utilize. And then, not to mention, here's what's going to be the problem. The run game is going to be the issue. Because last year, they ended up dealing with Todd Gurley for 1 year. Now he's a free agent still waiting for an opportunity to get signed a contract. But as time is rolling on, the Falcons right now don't even have a premier run game. And you got Matt Ryan, a 36-year-old quarterback, who only playing well in the dome, you're not sure exactly what the future really holds for him. And a lot of people sparked about trades between Julio or Matt Ryan. My thing is with Matt Ryan, you are still going to get 2 good years out of him. You're not going to get great years. You're not going to get ones where, he's just going to be lights out. He's going to be the same old Matt Ryan, the old Matty Ice that he was before. Now, we know it's a different coaching method because now Arthur Smith, former OC for the Tennessee Titans, is their new head coach. And this is the first time in a while that Matt Ryan is getting an offensive coordinating coach. And finally, somebody with an offensive mindset. Now, who knows how that's going to build? But mind you this, the defense, they need a lot of work. Outside of Deion Jones and aside from a lot of other good prospects, AJ Terrell, they're going to need a lot of help. They're going to need a lot of help on the defensive side of the football. So the Falcons, to me, if it was at a good timing to trading Julio Jones, because remember, you have that $15 million cap hit, and you want to have it at least at a good price. But the question is, who's going to be willing to take him? There were a bunch of teams that were leaked up, and I'll break that down by the end of the hour, because I think that it's a lot of fun to really kind of see who I think he fits well with, where I think that the difficulty to really kind of acquiring him is going to come from. But Julio Jones is a hell of a wide receiver. He's a heck of a talent. It's a risky move because of the fact of he's 32. And mostly by the time wide receivers are kind of climbing up to their ages about 33 to 35, that's where you kind of see there's not a whole lot that they could really do down the stretch. I'm not saying he's still not a really good talent. He is. But note the injuries, note the performances, and everything that has been coming and going for the last couple of years. I mean, the Falcons have been in positions where it seemed like they had such a good team and then they fall short. And this is after the Super Bowl appearance. This is after Kyle Shanahan's move to San Francisco. All of this started to kind of trend downhill for the Falcons. And it's unfortunate because now you're still dealing with the future with Matt Ryan, who you don't even know if the Falcons are going to move off. Because at this point, Justin Fields is in Chicago, Trey Lance is in San Francisco, and Mac Jones is in New England. And you don't know if there is going to be another high-caliber, talented quarterback out there coming out of college. It just kind of seemed like this was the final batch before now you're going to end up getting just quarterback talents that are not really like high caliber. They're good ones, but those are ones that are going to need a lot of help around them. They're going to need an offensive line. They're going to need weapons. They're going to need a capable defense. They're going to need a really good head coaching system. I don't know if the Falcons really do have that. But in this case for Julio Jones, I mean, if you trade him away, the thing of it is, only some teams are going to have to handle that cap. And then you have to think of, well, now what's the next move for Atlanta for their future? And that's where I think really kind of comes into, that really does come into, the topic of discussion. So that's kind of where I sit at with that. I mean, again, he is a really, really good talent. Don't get me wrong. And that's just where I stand with this is kind of to a point where, all right, wherever Julio goes, he's going to do good.